Hello everyone, this is Adele, and I wanted to give you an update on my visit to the plastic surgeon on Wednesday, the 25th of February. Well, the surgeon I really liked compared to the first one that I went to see. He was very professional. I could see he knew what he was doing. And I mean, I'm just gonna be straightforward because this is the point of this, is to give the reality and this really difficult journey that I have been on and I'm still on. I asked him to remove my implants and then also to reduce my left breast to be similar in size as my right one. So I left with a lot of drawings and not on a piece of paper, but he did a lot of measurements and everything. And as I said, I really felt confident that he was the right person and that he was gonna do what I would like, and that is to have the implants as well as most of the capsule removed. What I really appreciated about him was the time that he took to explain everything, and he told me that my implants were placed underneath my muscle, which makes it very tricky when removing the scar tissue at the back of the implant, because it attaches to your ribs and your lungs is close to that. And if you probe too hard, I might end up with collapsed lungs. So he assured me that he would remove as much of the capsule that is safe for me. So in understanding the consequences of the scar tissue being attached to my muscle and the risk it can have with my lungs, I was happy with the fact that he undertook to remove as much as he could, but still keep me safe. So when I walked out of there on Wednesday, I was so elated and excited that I have met the right surgeon and he was going to do my explant surgery. I was just too tired by the time I got back to the farm to do an update, so I planned to do it yesterday. And yesterday I got my quote. Now, to make a long story short, I have never had any procedures done in a hospital in the more than 10 years that I've lived in Australia. We have private health, which is more like a hospital plan. And yesterday I learned that there is a very big difference than having a medical aid in South Africa and having private health insurance in Australia. So I got the quote and it was very expensive. I then called my private health insurance. I gave them the codes of the procedure that he was going to do. And they asked me if it was for cosmetic reasons or medical reasons. So I said, no, it's for medical reasons. And so they said, yep, that's on my schedule. They will pay for it. I'm like, great. told Peter, everything is sorted. But then I noticed on the quote, there were 2 different columns. The surgeon's fee, then there was a column that said rebate, and a column that said out of pocket for patient. So I didn't understand. I don't know how many calls I made to the surgery for them to try and explain, to my medical aid, back and forth. And the third lady that I spoke to at my private medical aid took the time to really explain it to me so it made sense. So the middle column that said rebate, our Medicare, which is our national medical scheme, would pay 75% of the rebate, and my medical plan would pay 25% of that. So the total for my surgery, just with the doctor, is 11,000 Australian dollars, of which Medicare and my medical aid pays only $1,125. So out of my pocket, I have to pay over $9,800. That completely caught me off balance. I had no idea that was going to be the cost. And apparently, surgeons, and because it's breast surgery, they can charge whatever they want, and they do. And there's a cap amount that your medical aid and Medicare pays for. Whatever the surgeon charges over that, you have to pay out of pocket. Needless to say, I felt like a deflated balloon yesterday. I was in tears because I said to the receptionist, I was so happy when I walked out of there, and I know I want him to do the surgery. But I mean, it's just a matter, if you don't have that kind of money, you don't have it. And that's only the surgeon. Then there is the anesthetist. Then I have to pay the hospital a $750 fee, and I don't know what other cost there's going to be. So I'm looking at about 14,000 Australian dollars out of pocket, which I wasn't prepared for, people. So my husband and I are trying to crunch the numbers and see how we can do this. So after almost no sleep last night, and just my mind trying to process all of this, initially on Wednesday, I was given the first available date to have the procedure done was in October. And I said, no, that's too far, not knowing about the quote I was going to get. And yesterday she sent some dates through because I need a date and which hospital to get a quote from the anesthetist. So I've paid a $250 non-refundable booking fee for surgery, which is going to happen on the 28th of May. So Peter and I have until 6 weeks before the surgery needs to happen, where I have to pay it in full to try and get this money together. So yes, things aren't exactly going as I thought it would, because I really thought the medical aid will cover it and I would have a small gap. But now I understand why there's women that goes to Bali or Thailand to have things done, and it costs them far less. But the lesson I have learned with my teeth, going to South Africa, coming back to Australia, and things go wrong, nobody wants to touch you here if it wasn't done in Australia, and you cannot go back to whoever did it. So for a moment, I did consider looking at Bali, but then I realized you never know. Hundreds of women might go and they're fine coming back, but you might be the one where there is something, an issue. What do you do then? Get on a plane and have to fly back? Because a doctor here will not touch you. That I've learned with dentists. So I think it's going to even be worse with the explant surgery. So I made the choice that I would rather have it done here, and if there's any issues, I can go back to the surgeon and have it sorted out and not sit with the same situation as I did with my teeth, which was an absolute nightmare. Well, people, this is episode 8 of the series so far. And yeah, I've got to come up with a lot of money to have this surgery done. I never would have guessed that it would be this expensive. But also, the previous one was a lot cheaper, but he was only going to do a partial capsule removal. I'm not going to go through all this pain and discomfort and still sit with issues because there's still scar tissue left in my body. So yes, that's where I currently am at, and I will have to see how we're going to do this, but I just know that I need these implants out rather sooner than later. So I will keep you posted, and as I say, the whole purpose of making these videos, raw me, no editing, no fluffing up, it's just me telling you what my story is and how my journey is going, and hoping that my pain can bring a purpose. And my purpose is to make women aware of the dangers that there is and the risks of getting implants. And it's not all fun and games and beautiful. There are risks. And to hopefully help women like me that received implants, that are sick and they have no idea what causes it, that I hope I can provide insight and get them to do their own research and see. All right, everyone, thank you for taking the time to watch and to follow me on my journey. All right, bye.